Well, hello again, race fans from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network as we get set to bring you live US IndyCar League coverage of Season 11, Round 4. It's the StickQuik 190 from Pocono Raceway, the 2009 Legacy version, if you're somebody who keeps track of that kind of stuff. 76 laps we are set to go here today as we get set for these drivers to finish their practice laps and take to the track for some qualifying. So welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. So proud to have you joining us. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and of course I am your host commentator through all of this fun action of the US IndyCar League over Season 11. It's been my pleasure to be bringing you constant, ongoing updates and information, as well as the broadcast each week. This series turning into quite an interesting story, and we'll get into a little bit more of that as the drivers get set to take to the track. Try to get some coverage here as we can see James Kennedy on track at the moment. So Kennedy here on his first lap, just about to put in his very first time. Graham Bunyan, meanwhile, pretty much everybody on track at the moment, as is typical. Nobody really waits in this series, so take a look over at Graham Bunyan as he completes his lap. And we expect him to put in a great time, as he does have 2 pole positions already this season. So Graham Bunyan just beginning his first flying lap. You can see he takes it very conservatively on exit. And James Kennedy has now posted the fastest time thus far. The only time thus far, 41.49. So we can get the best lap time there. Howard Livingston now jumping to the top of the charts. The 41.46. We ride with Graham Bunyan as he crosses the line. And he immediately jumps to the top, a 41.44. So very, very tight at the moment. We wait for Graham to complete his second lap as Ryan Bowles actually jumps up to the top. Pretty big surprise to see on Ryan's first lap, jumping up with a 41.43 to Dan Ench's 41.44, and that actually tied Graham Bunyan, but down to the thousandth of a second. Looks like Dan Ench on his first lap a little bit faster than Bunyan. Livingston unable to improve his lap. He's done 4th fastest thus far. As we ride with Ryan Bowles as he completes his second of 2 laps. Not any faster, not a surprise. We don't really expect to see cars necessarily go faster at every track on the second lap. So looks like Ryan Bowles, we have not seen qualifying yet from this man. Now on your screen, Will Stearns. So we await his first flying lap. So this series getting very, very interesting, and this man on your screen, Will Stearns, one of the reasons for that last week, getting into an incident on the track with Graham Bunyan, your series points leader at the moment, and who will go on to eventually win the race at Indy. But Will Stearns battling up at the front, makes contact with Graham Bunyan last week, and words were exchanged during the race. We don't have voice chat on, but apparently many things were said during the race and post-race in the closed group for the US IndyCar League. The incident was reviewed by the league and found there to be nothing worth a penalty, and it being deemed just a racing incident. As we can see, Inigo Mardones here on his second lap, his first lap putting him 41.47, putting him in 7th, as he is yet to finish his lap. We also have not seen, though we showed that Mike West and David Worrell have made attempts. Actually, we show that David Worrell has made an attempt, but must have possibly crashed on his attempt. We don't have that note, but he only got in the better part of a lap. And then Mike West did not set a time. So here on your screen, you see the qualifying results. I believe. You can take that away. Let's try this one more time. Oh, it just loves to do that. Here we go. I promise I'll get it one of these days. Here we go. Ryan Bowles, P1. I mean, I would say that is surprising. But this young man, of whatever age, I actually don't know how old he is. I just jumped to the conclusion there. But Ryan has quickly been rising the ranks here in the US IndyCar League, and now showing his speed prowess, able to top even Dan Ench, one of the creators of this setup, and Graham Bunyan, who already has 2 pole positions. So as we wait for the cars to head out on the track, we'll take a look at the starting grid. It's Ryan Bowles starting next to Dan Ench. And on row 2, it is Graham Bunyan starting right next to Howard Livingston. See if we can get a better shot of the cars. Probably not. So then we move to row 3. It's David Zalesky starting right alongside of Richard Kelbaugh. In row 4, Inigo Mardones starting next to Rick Lovison. And then row 5, Matty Simpson. Alongside him, James Kennedy, one of our earlier winners of the race. Had to double check that I wasn't somehow paused in the replay there, because there was such a long pause between when the pace car was going to go off. But there we go, pace car underway. The cars take to the track. So starting just behind them, it is Jason Lowe, your series defending champion, 3-time champion of this series. And I think that's kind of a surprise to see him a little bit further back. Scott Dusko making his debut here on the broadcast. Jeff Murray, Manuel Gomez Esteban, Will Stearns, Mike West, and David Worrell will be your starting grid here. 17 cars set to do battle over 76 laps. So this is set to be a great race today. As I said before, the tempers are flaring a little bit, and it is really Graham Bunyan in third who you should keep your eye on, because this man has demonstrated numerous times over that he is not afraid to go anywhere he needs to on this track to get the job done. He's gone all the way to the back, to the front a couple of times now. So can anybody topple Graham Bunyan and stop his dominance? Take a look over here as Ryan Bowles heads us to the green flag, and we are underway here. 76 laps of fun action. and close racing for the US IndyCar League. This is Season 11, Round 4 from Pocono Raceway. Great to have you on board as the action begins. We are already 3 wide on the backstretch. It's Ryan Bowles leading Graham Bunyan, David Zalesky on the backstretch into turn 2. Of course, this being a triangle-shaped track, it's not really an oval. So we head into turn 3 here. You can see Ryan Bowles still in command. Graham Bunyan second. David Zalesky third. That is your top 3 at the moment. Dan Ench running 4th. Howard Livingston in 5th. Inigo Mardones 6th. So it looks like Dan Ench has lost 2 spots since the start. And we watch as he starts slipping back a little bit. Of course, Dan, excellent on fuel strategy. We look to see what he will do today. Looks like Dan may be losing yet another spot here, possibly, to Howard Livingston. Howard on the outside of turn 3, holds it tight. Now, side by side in turn 3, I can definitely say that there is some advantage to hanging out on the high side. As Graham Bunyan, we just saw this in the back of the picture. Graham Bunyan has made his way into 2nd place. So it's Ryan Bowles, Graham Bunyan, David Zalesky, Howard Livingston, Inigo Mardones, Richard Kelbaugh, Matty Simpson, and a little bit further back, Jason Lowe making a pass. Yeah, he's now on the outside, swapping positions with Matty Simpson. Matty has to back out of it, and Dan Ench, is in the wall. We've just seen Dan Ench tap the inside wall. Looks like he came off the corner, perhaps trying to avoid the incident ahead. I do not see a caution flag yet, and Dan definitely has a broken car and will now pull off and tow back to the pits. But we stay green up at the front, and we will go back and take a look at what took Dan Ench, unfortunately, out of this race. So far, so good for Ryan Bowles and Graham Bunyan. Bunyan looks like Zalesky has placed himself squarely in Bunyan's mirrors, trying to see perhaps Zalesky may be saving fuel, but we'll go back and take a look now as Richard Kelbaugh and Jason Lowe really flying through the field here, up 5 positions around Richard Kelbaugh. I didn't want to miss that pass. So let's take a look back. And that, of course, being a little bit too far into the incident. We'll just go ahead and back it up on screen. So Dan exiting turn 3 here, and just, he did get a little wide and unfortunately clipped the wall that sent him back across, and that of course puts Dan unfortunately out of the race. He was currently in 3rd place in the points, and that will of course really hurt his championship standings. So while we have a moment, we'll take a look through the field, and then we'll take a look at the championship standings. But Graham Bunyan here in 2nd place. Tough to say whether he's saving fuel or not, but Graham is putting in another show for sure. He's up into 2nd place, already gained a position today. So Graham is set to perhaps save some fuel, but he is slipping back a little bit from Ryan Bowles. So here in 3rd place, David Zalesky. David has also gained 2 positions already. So he's liking what he's seeing out of the Oreo number 7 car. Howard Livingston for the care camps. Of course, we did that great race last week, all about care camps, which is Howard's side pod sponsor there, but great organization. And for those of you that missed that race, you can, of course, go back and find that on our YouTube channel, VirtualRacing.Network. So we take a look at Inigo Mardones, another driver that the last couple of races has really started to march his way up towards the top of the running order. And by the way, I'm getting a note that says Dan Ench has left the pits, so the Dan Ench fan club can rejoice. He has rejoined the track and will get in some laps, perhaps get some points back for himself. We go a little bit further back, and we can see, there you see Dan Ench just at the bottom of the screen exiting the pits. So here's Jason Lowe. Jason started in, looks like 11th place, and now up into 6th, 5 positions gained. Question mark perhaps on whether that might come to the detriment of the tires or the fuel, but we'll have to see where he will stack out. And there we see just behind, it's Matty Simpson hitting the wall hard, exiting turn 3. Very, very similar to Dan Ench. And fortunately for him, he is in the pits. Unfortunately, that probably will incur some sort of a penalty. And so we'll go back here in just a moment. Very interesting that in that event, we don't really get... There we go. Take a look and see. There, he just scrapes the outside wall, and around it go. Let's see if we can get another look. There we go. Well, it doesn't... Oh, I see. Matty Simpson had gone around and then had to come back in, so that's why it was jumping me to that particular entrance. But yeah, so there, Matty really just having difficulty. Let's see if we can do this properly and take a look on board. Here we go. That's what I wanted to do. Just very high on exit there, and coming in and clipping the inside wall, and that does it. So he'll get his car repaired and be back underway. It does not look like totally terminal damage. So we go back up to the front, and you may notice something has changed. It's David Zalesky who is on the hunt, and this is Ryan Bowles. They're just a little ways further back. Graham Bunyan. It looks like Zalesky is on the march forward and perhaps is going to attempt to make a pass around Ryan Bowles here for the lead. Zalesky drafts and moves to the inside. There you go. Mark it. Zalesky to the lead, and here we have another note. Matty Simpson crashing, so perhaps did not get that damage fixed. That appears to be a problem perhaps with this car. There may still be a bug where if you come into the pits and you don't tow, it may not actually fix your car. I've heard from some people that that is still a thing. Anyway, here we go, looking back at the front, this exciting battle. It's David Zalesky and Ryan Bowles. And in the meantime, Graham Bunyan slipping back almost 2 seconds. Perhaps Graham in a fuel saving, looking to be fuel saving, but we can't really divulge any of that information, even if we knew it. But yeah, it's very possible that Graham could be running in a very high fuel map. trying to save fuel, and yet at the same time could be just that the onboard onboard controls adjustments may not be working to his favor this week, and this is one of the first times that we have seen that, where maybe he may be struggling, but we won't know until the pit stop cycle. So we take a look a little bit further back. We've got Jason Lowe here in 5th. He's just under 3 seconds to the leaders. James Kennedy here in 6th place. Inigo Mardones in 7th. That's where he started. And then we got to go over 5 seconds back to Richard Kelbaugh. And again, it's a question mark if any of these drivers are saving on their fuel right now. They equally could be in a very high fuel saving mode. So this Scott Dusko up 2 positions so far in his debut here on the broadcast. Manuel Gomez Esteban hanging around in 11th. He's gained 3 spots so far today. Mike West, the winner last week at Indianapolis, pretty much a shock winner, to be quite honest. Mike coming through at the very end with the proper strategy. I'm sorry, not last week, 2 weeks ago. Having the proper strategy and really pulling off a miraculous win. But this week so far, again, you can't count him out. He may be doing the very strong fuel conserve strategy this week, or positioning himself to be at the right place at the right time. You only got to lead 1 lap, as he proved 2 weeks ago. And it just needs to be that very last lap. So we take a look a little bit further back. This is Jeff Murray in 13th. He hasn't lost any spots. It's looking good out there in that bright colored machine. David Worrell here in 14th place, excuse me. Just behind him, he's got Will Stearns, who appears to be making his way around David Worrell as we speak. So that brings you through the rest of the lead lap cars. And then our first lap car a lap down is Dan Ench. You saw it earlier. He had a bit of an issue. And so then finally Matty Simpson, who is now out of the race. We'll take a look at what actually put him out. See if we can get this. It doesn't appear as though it just appears as though they didn't quite fix the car. And so he jumped out of the car, and that was it for Matty for this race. Back up to the front, it's David Zalesky, who leads Ryan Bowles and Graham Bunyan. Howard Livingston running a very good 4th place at the moment, hanging on to the position where he started. So actually a very good qualifying position from him. Now, as we watch, Jason Lowe making his move, improving 6 positions thus far, and perhaps trying to make this his 7th of the day. Lowe backs out of that pass, and we can see that is, in fact, James Kennedy behind 4 positions. So James Kennedy joining this battle here for 4th place. So we take a look at some of the numbers on your screen of these drivers. Pretty impressive drive so far from James Kennedy himself, up 5 positions. James Lowe, as we can see there on the screen, Kennedy getting around, and Jason Lowe now shown 5 positions gained. So these drivers flying forward, but this man equally impressive, having gained 4 positions. It's David Zalesky, who has led a number of laps here at Pocono and looks to be managing his car, its adjustments, very, very well. leading this race and not really slowing down at all. Nobody able to really catch and defend, as we see Ryan Bowles starting to drift a little bit back, perhaps all the way to a second at some point. Well, I can see there's a number of you who have joined us over in the YouTube chat. I appreciate that. I hope you're enjoying today's coverage of this awesome race from Pocono. It's always great to come to Pocono. It's a track that was actually designed for Indy cars. They say it a lot because it's true, and there aren't a lot of tracks that are designed exclusively for IndyCar, but this one is one. And of course has seen many great real-life IndyCar battles over the years. Unfortunately, also recently, the site of the Robert Wickens incident. As we see David Zielski, your leader, I was just wondering when he would be peeling off and heading into the pits, and here is your answer. So on lap 24, Zielski comes into the pits, and here we can see Graham Bunyan continuing on. So Zielski, having led a number of laps, will of course have been burning more fuel. Therefore, Graham Bunyan will have to see. This is the time when people are going to start showing their cards as far as how much fuel saving they have been doing. As we can see, Ryan Bowles also on pit lane, and Will Stearns also on pit lane. Zielski has just exited the pits. As we can see, Bunyan, little light puff of smoke as he enters the pits himself. So we got the track map up there with the, let's put their initials in there so that it makes it a little easier to see. So here Bunyan rejoins, and now we get to see whose strategy worked the best as Bunyan heads straight back up onto the track. No need to stay below the yellow line. So we have Jason Lowe now in the pits, leading James Kennedy and Inigo Mardones. Little puff of smoke as Lowe comes to a rest at his pit box. And this hands over the lead to someone we haven't been talking about too much, and that's Jeff Murray. So Murray with Mike West just behind. It's very possible that they have saved a ridiculous amount of fuel. Mike West being the teammate of Graham Bunyan, it's always possible that they have split strategies as well. So looks like Murray entering the pits, and there's no way it got... There's a very, very strong likelihood he did not make the pit entry speed. You saw Jeff really locking up on entry there. Not too sure about Mike West. Also, you see David Worrell here in the pits is also. Appreciate David filling in his information there. That is terrific. Some drivers electing to do that. You actually can go through the SDK app to do that. I will be, personally, for everybody who hasn't been filling that information out, I will be manually overriding that just to let you know. I appreciate that, though. And I will be using your iRacing profile to build that with. So please let me know, guys, and any ladies that might be part of this league, if you want some different information or photos shown on screen in your graphic. Make sure that we can make that happen. In the meantime, David Zielski takes over the lead once again from Ryan Bowles. You see Bowles just behind. Now it's a good 3.5 seconds. There you see, just entering the picture there, at the very back of the picture, there's Graham Bunyan. 3.8 seconds down now as these two seemingly work together, possibly. Zalesky and Bowles staying nose to tail here. And if they can enact that strategy, we have another note. Here it is on screen. Will Stearns crashing off turn 3. It's something we've seen multiple times. And now that will bring out the yellow. This after most cars, I believe, has everybody pitted? Yeah, everybody has pitted. So it won't catch anybody out exactly. But this will affect their race strategy for sure, as this is no longer going to be a... This will no longer be a green flag situation to the end. And again, everybody will be running their fuel numbers. We talked last week with Graham Bunyan in the interview. And Bunyan telling us that he actually has a... a fuel person that actually crunches numbers with him and does a lot of that math for him, and that's just a really great luxury for him. So everybody just having made pit stops, I'm curious who's going to come in to top off. See, last pit stop was on 23, and we're now working lap 29. So there's only been a few laps, but it would still be worth it to come in and top off for some of these runners, especially towards the back. So, this is quite interesting. What I'm seeing right now, I have to see how this corrects out, because this is looking like this has trapped a couple of drivers down a lap, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it is showing Jason Lowe down a lap, and here you see, in fact, Zalesky and Bowles both diving into the pits. Bowles really aggressive there, trying to take the perhaps gain something and perhaps take the position in the pits, as we see Rick Lovison actually take over the lead of the race. Now again, Rick did stop. He and Scott Dusko just behind are in fact, take a look here at Rick, and Scott Dusko just behind. They did pit earlier, as I was just mentioning, but they will be out of fuel some laps before the rest. So perhaps they're just hanging out to see. And then you can see Jason Lowe is trying to get that lap back, and he'll get the wave around. It's very fortunate for him that he had actually pitted, so he will get that wave around, but very unfortunate to get caught a lap down. And it does look as though Jeff Murray also getting caught a lap down. Mike West getting caught a lap down as well. So this is really actually kind of shaking some things up, as we officially have... Let's look at Will Stearns, who's just sitting in the pit. And there he is rolling. So he is still going. Dan Ench looking to perhaps fix some damage, some additional damage. Not really sure. So he is sitting in the pits at the moment. There he does go rolling again. So Ench will take care of whatever issues he had present on his machine. As we get ready to go here, we should, of course, as we actually have one more lap until we get going. So why don't we go ahead and use this time to talk about StickQuik. StickQuik it's the ultimate tool accessory. It's the patented StickQuik is the only product of its kind designed to hold multiple types of hand tools, cooking utensils, and writing implements to any surface, making the item ready for instant retrieval and use. It's great in the house, in the garden, in the garage, in the shop, for cars, RVs, boats, you name it. If you can think of it, you could probably put one of these StickQuiks around it, and it will serve you well. So head on over to StickQuik.com to get yourself a pack, and of course they come in all kinds of cool colors, so there's definitely bound to be something there for you. StickQuik.com for more information. And we get back to racing coverage here. And of course, just to continue to point out, but StickQuik is a great partner for the series with the US IndyCar League now for a couple of years, and just really glad to see their support and continued support. So Rick Lovison here in first, heading to the green flag as it stacks up a little bit behind. We see Ryan Bowles make a move to the inside of Zalesky, and Scott Dusko now in second place. Zalesky in third. We see Stearns way in the back, as well as Kelbaugh moving to the inside. And Dusko, I think Lovison taking the bonus point there, so he's very happy. Oh, and there we see Ryan Bowles drifting up the track into the wall as Graham Bunyan sweeps around the inside, as well as James Kennedy. So very close moment there. Tough to tell whether there's any damage on the machine. We do have a note that Richard Kelbaugh has also crashed. We didn't see it. And there he goes up and hits the wall. I have a feeling that that's just a little bit earlier. Not sure. There he's already off pace, and so very likely tapped the outside wall a little bit earlier than we were looking at. But at this moment, this is the man on the track who is getting it done. It's Rick Lovison, and then behind, Scott Dusko in second place. Scott's up 10 positions, Rick's up 7. Of course, these two, of course, as I was just mentioning, on a different strategy than the rest. Take a look a little bit further back as Inigo Mardones and Howard Livingston in a battle here for 7th place. And just up in front, you can see Ryan Bowles. Ryan was just in the lead a moment ago, before the pit stop cycling happened. Ryan touching the wall also for a moment. So we take a look back, and it is Howard Livingston. Then we can see David Worrell in 9th place, up 8 positions. A great run for David in his debut also in this broadcast. Manuel Gomez Esteban here in 10th. 4 positions gained, and Jason Lowe, who managed to squeak his way back onto the lead lap. Jason's actually, he might be dropping back a little bit to try to do some massive fuel saving. We'll have to see how that works out, as we've got, well, we've got about 40 laps remaining. So by my estimation, you would have needed to get about 23 or so, or 24 laps per stint for the remainder of the race if you were going to get that. And of course, Jason Lowe stopping last on lap 25, so he actually has to go further than everyone else. Tough to say how that strategy is going to work out. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So after 36 laps, working on lap 37 here, just about to start lap 38, Rick Lovison, Scott Dusko, David Zalesky, Graham Bunyan, James Kennedy. That's your top 5. As you can see, very close here, and we got some action a little bit further back. It's James Kennedy and Howard Livingston as, let's see here, James Kennedy, Graham Bunyan, and Inigo Mardones. This 3-car battle here that you see on your screen. Kennedy now looking to perhaps take on Graham Bunyan. Now, Graham not making the same type of authoritative statement that he did last race, where he took over after the first pit stop. There, Graham really losing a little bit of speed as he exits turn 3, having a bit of a moment, not allowing 2 cars, Kennedy and Inigo Mardones, to get around. Graham hanging out on the outside now of turn 1. So again, Graham maybe not quite adapting to the car setup today and using the tools the same that everyone else is. Seems like the person here that's actually shown in 3rd place at the moment has 3rd place. And we're seeing that there's an extra car. It looks like Jeff Murray is up there. So Zalesky here in 3rd was the fastest for the first stint and seemed to be adapting the best. However, again, the question is, will he switch to more of a fuel save strategy as well as the rest? So we take a look. Don't look now, but this man, Inigo Mardones of Spain, is now on the back of David Zalesky. Excuse me. He's now moved into 4th place. Got a bunch of different data moving around in a bunch of different areas on this screen. Inigo Mardones into 4th place, up 3 positions right now, battling it out with James Kennedy. Here you see on the screen in the orange car. Orange and red car. Seeing a note that says Richard Kelbaugh has entered and left pit lane. So struggles continue for Richard Kelbaugh. And we take a look at Jason Lowe here in now 9th place. Keep waiting for him to make that pass and say where he's at. He's in 9th place here. He's gained a couple of spots. It's I mean, it's just to finish one of these races is going to be solid. But by the way, while we were just looking over at Jason, Scott Dusko taking over the lead, getting a bonus point for leading. And you can see this race has not broken wide open yet. Scott Dusko leading Rick Lovison with Jeff Murray shown in 3rd there. David Zalesky and Murray is down a lap. So that's why he's in 3rd. Zalesky in 4th has just managed to really catch this group, and the hard-charging James Kennedy just behind appears to have stalled out just a little bit. As you can see, Murray really getting wide there, exiting turn 3. That's going to allow Zalesky to get under him. And we do see that Ryan Bowles has entered the pits. So Ryan is the first to blink here. as we have a number of drivers, 24 that pitted last on lap 24. It's now lap 44, so they're getting very, very close. This driver being one of them, Scott Dusko, as well as Rick Lovison, both pitting on lap 24, so they'll need to pit any moment. And once again, proud to have you joining us. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and you are watching VirtualRacing.Network's live, uninterrupted coverage of Season 11, Round 4. This is the StickQuik 190 from virtual Pocono Raceway. It's so great that I get to call a race from this raceway. I've raced here a number of times in the IndyCar. Oh, we can see in the back someone having a problem. That looks like it's James Kennedy. Kennedy destroying the nose on the car, and I cannot see any notes. Let's go back and see. Inigo Mardones. So we had an incident perhaps with Inigo Mardones. Let's see if something happened here. There's Mardones on the inside getting around Kennedy. And then do they make contact? There's your contact, and it's very difficult to tell as both of these drivers now coming into the pits. It looks like Mardones just kind of slides up the track. We'll back it up just one more time here. See if we can go a little slow-mo here and see if we can tell exactly what happened. And it does appear as though Mardones perhaps getting not quite able to hang on to it, and it slides up the track a little bit, collecting James Kennedy in the process. So in the meantime, both of these drivers now in the pits having to take repairs. That's the end of that excellent run for James Kennedy, our previous race winner, actually the first round winner here in Season 11. And Ryan Bowles is also in the pits. So Ryan's incident definitely causing him to lose a bunch of laps. Mike West also losing some laps. So we have to regroup here, as it looks like this battle is now going on for second place. David Zalesky and Rick Lovison getting around the injured Inigo Mardones car as it exits the pits there, and Jeff Gray now racing Rick Lovison here, trying to perhaps get his lap back, but the battle is at the front. Scott Dusko leads it, presumably using Fanatec equipment, because that's what's on the side pod. So Scott in first. David Zalesky here in second place. He's about 3 seconds back, so Scott has really managed to open up a gap. Rick Lovison hanging on to third. Now, he did come in, as well as Scott, on lap 24. So this actually, you know, and there were some caution laps as well, so we have to factor that in. But we expect them to come down pit lane any time now. And here, Graham Bunyan running in fourth. He's lost a position, but still hanging on. And there we can see Scott Dusko and Rick Lovison coming into the pits. Lovison a little hot coming into the pits. No telling whether he made that stick or not. But we will find out, because we'll possibly see him have to pit again and lose a lap. But we will find out. That's the trick, is you can't be at, if the speed limit is 60, you can't be at 61 miles an hour. It doesn't allow you to do that. You actually can. I take that back. You can come in a little bit hot. There's a trick to managing it, and that is you can take your foot out of the gas and go a little bit under speed. Seems to average it out, but where that works and doesn't work, I don't know the exact limitations of using that trick. However, it is possible if you do come in just a little bit hot to be able to even it out. Unfortunately, you don't want to have to do that. You want to make the perfect pit entry, come right down to the exact speed limit, right on the line for the pit entry, and then be on the limiter as you go down the track. In the meantime, we did, of course, see Scott Dusko and Rick Levison there in the pits. We can now take a look. There we go. So Jason Lowe now in the pits as well. 24 laps to go. So indeed, this was a good call for Jason Lowe. He will be able to make it to the end on this stop. So we expect everybody from here on who pits will be able to make it an entire green flag stint. As we can see, David Zalesky here in first. The American, no stranger to the front of this running order in this series. He's been consistently a front runner in the US IndyCar League this season, and it's definitely somebody that you want to be watching each and every week. He seems to have the speed, and he is climbing the championship points as well. So here, Graham Bunyan in second place, no surprise, up a position and just sitting 2.6 seconds back. So we can see that David Worrell and Dan Ench have entered the pits, as well as Will Stearns has entered the pits for their last stops. Howard Livingston in third. He started in fourth, so he's gained a spot today, running with the care camps on the side as always. Manuel Gomez Esteban in fourth place. Esteban last pitting on lap 30, so he's part of the group with the three drivers in front that still needs to make his pit stop, but he is 8.4 seconds adrift of David Zalesky at the front of that group. Then we get to Scott Dusko. As David Zalesky, by the way, we'll go back to that camera there, he peels off to get into the pits. So Scott Dusko, the first of the drivers that has already pitted and currently sitting in fifth place on the track. So the American here really showing very well in his first week on the broadcast. Pleasure to have him joining us and bringing another very competitive driver into the series. So Scott here in fifth place, having gained 7 positions, he may be in line for either a win or a podium, depending on how this all works out. And here, in fact, you can see it on track. There is David Zalesky now rejoining just behind Scott Dusko, and just a little ways back it's closing, but 4.6 seconds. It looks to be about stabilizing to about 4.5 seconds back is Jason Lowe from David Zalesky in 5th and 6th. Then you've got Rick Levison here back just under a second. And there we can see Howard Livingston, Manuel Gomez Esteban also pitting. So Livingston rejoins, and here Gomez Esteban is about to rejoin himself. Gomez Esteban actually having a really great race today. This is the first time we've seen him consistently running up in the top of the order. He's had numerous incidents that have cost him pretty much single car incidents that have cost him and not allowed to see his true pace. So Gomez Esteban here making a move to the inside of the lap car of Will Stearns. And Will Stearns hits the wall. Looked like he was really struggling to maintain that high line on the outside there, and he struck the wall. Now getting down below the yellow line, and he spins up the track. This will bring out a yellow and almost collects. I believe that was Ryan Bowles there. That was so very, very close. We might have to just dedicate a camera to Will Stearns and just have it on full time so we can keep up on what's happening in the Will Stearns world. But that will bring out the yellow flag. So a number of drivers have not yet stopped and made their final stop. Or has everybody? We still have James Kennedy and Ryan Bowles, who they last stopped on lap 43 and 46. So it's possible that this will help them, as they'll get a free pit stop out of it. But nevertheless, this actually traps some more drivers a lap down. It does trap. So right now we are showing 8 cars on the lead lap. Scott Dusko, your leader. David Zalesky, second. Graham Bunyan, third. Jason Lowe, fourth. Howard Livingston, fifth. Rick Levison, sixth. Manuel Gomez Esteban, seventh. And your last car on the lead lap is David Worrell there in eighth. So now that we're under caution, we'll wait for some of the drivers to come down pit road. And we'll see who decides that they want to take tires. Who wants fresh tires? How much are fresh tires worth? Depends. So here, Scott, faking to go to the inside, just elects not to. A little bit further back, we can see Dan Ench, and appears as though James Kennedy coming into the pits. So pretty much the only two takers, as we go back to the wider camera, the only two takers to get tires. Now, will that... Oh, we do see 2 more cars. We've got David Worrell, as we mentioned, and do not see who the other car is. So we've got Dan Ench, James Kennedy, Ryan Bowles, and Richard Kelba in the pits. And at the front, it's Scott Dusko, Graham Bunyan, Jason Lowe. So we might have ourselves a shootout here as we are finishing lap 59, headed into lap 60. We'll have about... We'll have 16, we'll have about 14 laps of green flag. Why don't we go ahead and take a look? Let's see if I can pull this up. So here you can see on the screen the championship points after last week at Indy. Graham Bunyan, your leader with a win. Mike West in second, also with a win. And James Kennedy, the winner of the first week, with Graham Bunyan finishing near the top today. It makes it much more difficult for anyone else. Dan Ench finding himself a lap down. He will not climb the points much. I do expect that if things continue this way, David Zalesky will probably find his way into second place in the points. Tough to tell, but we will see how this goes. There you can see a number of drivers really, really close and tied, as you can see back all the way down into 9th place. So it's really anybody's championship, but if Graham Bunyan continues to sneak in podiums every single week, it's going to be tough for anybody else to win. Now, we can hear some drivers You can hear, sounds like some drivers are clutching and coasting, and at the same time some other drivers are trying to run off excess fuel. See if we can hear who is doing what. Graham Bunyan running excess fuel here. So definitely trying to run off some of that excess that might be on board, and make the car a little bit lighter, a little bit faster for the end of this race. As I was mentioning, when drivers were pitting to make it to the end, such as Jason Lowe, that everybody at that point was to have fuel to make it to the end. And as we see Scott Dusko here cruising around, some drivers electing to burn off, some not. So the drivers get ready to go here. And the pace car peels off. And we await the start. Green flag. Scott Dusko, very slow start coming up to the green flag. Gives Graham Bunyan a chance just behind to get in line. And there we can see Ryan Bowles having an issue and spinning. I didn't see whether he caught, whether he was caught out. I really could not see exactly what happened. Let's see. Go to Ryan here. We'll take a look from Ryan's onboard as the yellow has come out. We don't expect anybody to pit now as they just got fresh tires. There, Ryan was on the inside having to slow up tremendously as everything got stacked up on the start. And wow, it just really looks like he drifted towards the outside of the track, and it just, the car just got very light on him and wanted to come around. Not really sure, really not sure what happened there, but, well, Ryan Bowles' difficulty today continues. And unfortunately, that will drop him out of the running order. So he sits on pit road, and we take a look at the live picture of Scott Dusko with Graham Bunyan. Everybody coming down to, everybody slowing down to the pacing speed. And we are getting dangerously close to the end of this race. We've only got just about 14 laps more to go. So when we come back to the green flag, should have about 8 laps or so. Yeah, maybe 9 laps or so left. Let's see if they're just starting 63. Should be. Let's see if we can see, are the lights out? Lights are not out, so we're going to go at least one more lap. So, yeah, there should be at least 11, I think 11 laps to go when they take the green flag. So, Graham Bunyan and Jason Lowe in second and third. So, who is this Jason Lowe guy? Well, I think we could finally show off this graphic. It's been difficult getting it on screen. Let's see if we can actually get this to show correctly. So here's Jason Lowe, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Easy for me to say. It's a defending US IndyCar League champion, 3-time US IndyCar League champion from seasons 8 to 10. 7 wins. He's second all time. You can see some of his real life racing this, of course, sets the stage for Jason. He has a lot of real-life racing, 55 feature wins in 14 active years, doing everything from SCCA all the way to doing a bunch of late model and modified dirt and pavement mini stock. Retired 2018, had some issues with his right shoulder, but able to make it work with iRacing, and we're so glad to have Jason with us in the US IndyCar League, and it's always an excellent driver, competitive every week pretty much, brings his A game, and you know, he's the first one to be a little critical of his consistency in the league, and blames all of his success on just being at the right place at the right time. But no doubt Jason is fast week in and week out. He's always a contender for a race win, and certainly somebody that, if he can find that consistency, will once again be a championship contender. At the moment, just having a couple of issues that kind of kept him out of the points out of the first couple of races. But it is this man today, Scott Dusko, who has really shown that he has what it takes to run up front here in the US IndyCar League. He's led many laps. I don't have an actual stat on that, unfortunately, but he's led a number of laps, most of the laps, over Graham Bunyan in second. Very familiar name, winner last week. And so as we get set to go here with just about 11 laps to go, as we come out of turn 2, I mean, this is really shaping up with the cream of the crop up here at the top. We've got Scott Dusko in his debut with Graham Bunyan, last week's winner, and then Jason Lowe, series champion, just behind, as well as Howard Livingston in the Care Camps automobile. So this is really, like I said, while there's only 7 cars on the lead lap, you got several of the very fast race contending drivers right at the front still. Let's see what we've got in store and who's got it for the last 11 laps, as Scott Dusko leads us back to the green flag. Just 11 to go here at Pocono. And you can see the drivers weaving in the background. It is Graham Bunyan hanging on to third, and Jason Lowe just behind hanging on to second, and Jason Lowe just in third there. Lowe drifting a little bit up the track. We see everybody looks to be, and now we can see side by side in the front, Graham Bunyan and Scott Dusko. Bunyan on the outside. Looks like he gets quite high there, but he manages to pull off the pass. No problems for Graham Bunyan. Up to the lead. That's first time today, I believe, that we have seen that. So Graham Bunyan to the lead. Lowe now having issues pulling very far to the inside of the track. So not sure if he got a little loose there or if that was intentional, but Lowe, and there you can see Dusko really struggling in the dirty air behind Lowe, as Lowe moves up into second, and Dusko now has to deal with some of what these drivers have been dealing with, this aero push. And Dusko now drifting back into fourth. So nobody's surprised. At the front, it's Graham Bunyan, the Australian, who takes over the lead. And with just 9 laps to go here, he's starting to pull out a little bit of a gap over series defending champion Jason Lowe. About 0.8 of a second. So if Lowe has anything for Graham Bunyan, he's going to have to use it now. Now, we heard Graham Bunyan burning off fuel before. It's a possibility. I doubt it's worth the 0.3 of a second faster lap that Graham Bunyan just put in over Jason Lowe, but it's worth something. That's worth something for sure. You can burn off a couple of gallons on those cautions. So Graham there in first, and we'll keep an eye on that battle between he and Jason Lowe. But here in third, this is the battle for the final step on the podium. It's Howard Livingston and Scott Dusko. You can see there Livingston was fourth in last season's championship and finds himself currently in third on the track. So Dusko new to this season, but posting so far great laps and managing to really acquit himself well in his debut. Manuel Gomez Esteban here in fifth place has gained 9 positions today. He's thus far tied with Jason Lowe. Actually, I take that back. I was going to say they are the hardest chargers, but you got to look back. Not at this man, Rick Levison, though he's gained 2 positions. Probably very happy with his day, running in the top 10, currently in 6th place. But it's this man, David Worrell, who is currently in 7th and has gained 10 positions. So exactly what you would want to see if you qualified a little bit further back. These drivers now shown a lap down. So Mike West and Jeff Murray, as well as David Worrell. And unfortunately, James Kennedy had the incident earlier with Inigo Mardones, now shown on screen. These 2 drivers dropping back. You can see him racing with Dan Ench. Dan additional laps down at the moment. And there, Richard Kelbaugh also another lap down further than Dan Ench is. Dan right now on his 66th lap. Looks like to be about 5 laps down or so. You can tell at the top of the screen in the ticker. Yeah, 5 laps. So then we can see Ryan Bowles sitting in the pits, I think. And also we didn't see a note about it, but David Zalesky appears to have had an incident. Again, I'll try and track that down. I'm not sure. He's also left the race. So Zalesky, who was doing quite well, actually having an issue and leaving the race. Again, just not seeing a note. As far as what caused Zalesky to exit the race, but definitely it's just too bad I don't see a note to go back to here. But it's very likely that he just tapped the outside wall and had to park the car, essentially. Jeff Murray jumping to the pits, perhaps having an issue also. What happened here? I think that's going to show us. There you can see Jeff Murray hitting the wall, almost collecting James Kennedy. I'm not sure, did James Kennedy survive that? Yes, he did. So whatever caused that incident with Jeff Murray, almost wiping out Kennedy, but not wiping him out. Anyway, back up to the front. Tough to keep track of everything forward and backwards, but this is easy. Here you can see it. It's Jason Lowe side by side with Graham Bunyan. Not sure what caused Graham to back up the track or Jason somehow to catch Graham, but he's caught him and he is right on Graham's back porch and he's come knocking. Here he drifts around the outside, side by side through turn 2 and down to turn 3. It's Lowe on the outside. He can't quite get it done. He might carry that momentum off of the corner as you see Graham Bunyan, your leader, swerving all around the track. It's the white flag lap. This is it. 1 lap to go. Side by side, Graham Bunyan and Jason Lowe into turn 1. Lowe drifts high. You can see there in third place, Howard Livingston creeping into the picture. Will Livingston have anything to say about it? Do either of these two drivers, Lowe or Bunyan, have anything left in reserve? Can they weight jack their way to the front? Coming through turn 3, it's Graham Bunyan still in control. Jason Lowe can't manage to find his way around. And it is Graham Bunyan with the win. Jason Lowe in second. Howard Livingston in third. Scott Dusko in fourth place. And Manuel Gomez Esteban coming home fifth. As we can see, one of the drivers in the back having a real difficulty there coming across the finish line. It's Rick Levison. Looks like maybe that was Mike West who perhaps had that incident a moment ago. But we can see James Kennedy pulling it in, and Inigo Mardones as well. Dan Inch continuing to circle today. Wow, what a heck of a finish as we take a look at Graham Bunyan here. And he's already pulled it in. I guess we will not be seeing... Did he pull it in? I guess he did, and he must have exited his car. So we are not going to see any sort of, as I make sure that I get into the broadcast booth. And there we go. We're finally in to the broadcast booth. So, of course, if Graham and Howard and Jason Lowe can go ahead and join me in the Discord channel, I would appreciate it. And so I'm seeing a number of drivers in our booth here. And let's go ahead and take a look as I'm just kind of waiting for the final results to come up on the screen, but they don't appear to be popping up, so we'll have to wait. There we go. So we can take a look at the final race results finally. We have Graham Bunyan, your winner today of the StickQuik 190. It's the fourth round here, season 11 at Pocono Raceway. Graham Bunyan taking the win in a thriller here with Jason Lowe coming in second, Howard Livingston third, Scott Dusko fourth, Manuel Esteban in Gomez Esteban in fifth, sixth for Rick Levison, seventh for Mike West, eighth for James Kennedy, ninth for Inigo Mardones, 10th for Jeff Beret, 11th Dan Ench, 12th David Worrell, 13th Richard Kelbaugh, 14th Ryan Bowles, 15th David Zalesky, 16th Will Stern, 17th Matty Simpson is your final driver today, and the grid keeps growing, so that's great. So in the meantime, in our booth, I believe we have our third place finisher here. It's Howard Livingston. Can you hear me, Howard?
Yes, I have you, my friend.
All right. Well, congratulations. You got the podium this week. I know last week you would have loved to have gotten the podium, it being the Care Camps 250, but you still get to show off on the podium with the Care Camps logo, and congratulations. You got it up there onto the podium.
Thanks so much. And what a great race. I just can't say enough about all the drivers that are in this league. They're just all so very, very good. So it's an honor to get up here on the podium. And a big shout out to StickQuik, our sponsor. It's just great racing here.
Absolutely great racing. It was a thriller. Pretty much from the beginning, we didn't know how the fuel strategy was going to work out. How did it play out for you on the track, Howard? Were you concerned about fuel from the very beginning? Were you fuel saving? And then how did the race unfold for you?
Yeah, I was totally fuel saving. And what I realized is I really needed to stretch the fuel out to try to make it a two-stop race. So stretched out the first leg. And then we had a yellow that kind of threw that out the window. So then which I was glad, because then it was just but push it to the floor and go,
Right. Well, so then so then all of that was pretty much out the window for you. Some of the other drivers were trying to save even more fuel because their strategy kind of got tweaked by that yellow coming out. So, but either way, it worked out for you. How was the car feeling today? Was it a good setup week? Was it a difficult setup to deal with? Were you making a lot of adjustments in car?
I'll tell you, this is probably the best setup I've ever driven at Pocono, hands down. It's just the setup. I think Dan and Jason and the guys worked on that, and this is the best setup I've ever driven on this track. You could go high, low. There was obviously some aero push, but you expected that, but nothing crazy. It was just a great setup.
Well, that is great to hear. I know that's always one of the things going on. You're handed a setup. You don't know whether it's going to hang on perfectly all race long or not. But for you, it seemed like it stayed under you. A couple of drivers having some issues with exiting turn 3, slapping the wall, bringing them around. But for you, Graham and Jason, didn't seem like it was any sort of an issue. And again, getting that Care Camps number 13 car onto the podium. So congratulations again, Howard, and anything else you want to share with us before we move on to our other podium finishers?
Just a shout out to my beautiful wife and all the folks that support Care Camps. Thank you so much, and thanks for just an incredible broadcast as always.
Awesome, man. Well, great talking to you. Congratulations again, Howard. So Howard continues his march up the championship standings, and that brings us to someone else that we can talk to here, Jason Lowe, who is with us in the broadcast booth. Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Hey, Jason. Quite a race for you. It seemed like earlier on we were watching you towards the back, just kind of hanging in there. I was suspecting that you were doing some fuel saving, and then you just slowly started creeping forward. The next thing I knew, you were in the top 5. The next thing I know, you're in the top 3, and there you are battling at the end. How did the race go for you? Were you fuel saving in the beginning, and how did it all play out?
Well, I was fuel saving the first stint. I actually then had a pit speed violation, so I got to sit in the pits and watch everyone go around for 40 seconds. I was the first car a lap down when the first caution came out, so while I don't like to see the caution, I needed it, and it happened to favor me, so I got back on the lead lap. Was careful on my second stop, maybe lost a little time to David and the other leaders because I wasn't going to come back from 2 penalties. I was lucky to come back from 1. There at the end, I had enough to track Graham down, but I just didn't have enough to get around him. Not without probably wrecking us both. I just didn't have enough tire left. So I definitely didn't settle, but I wasn't going to take him out to pass him either. So I respect the guy too much for that. And while I don't want to finish second, if I'm going to finish second, I'm finishing second to the best. So it takes the sting off it a little. Takes the sting off of it a little bit.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, losing to Graham is not really much of a loss at all. It's a difficult thing trying to figure out how to get around Graham. Graham, of course, was playing his own fuel strategy battles through the race. He kind of was hanging back in 4th and 5th, and then finally made his move coming up forward. So did these cautions, I noticed that I believe you were the first car to make the final stop for the end of the race, and then the caution came out a few laps later. Did that work to your favor to move you up further in terms of position on the track? How did you feel though, having a little bit older tires than everyone else?
Well, Dan Ench did the setup this week, and like Howard said, it was one of the, if not the best driving car I've had at Pocono. So that helped quite a bit. And a couple guys stopped, which moved me up a few spots. But when you got Graham in front of you at a place that's pretty hard to pass from behind, I mean, you can draft around, but I wasn't feeling really confident that I was going to get him, to be honest. I thought I could hang with him, but I was like, if he's not going to give me the inside, which he didn't. And I wouldn't have done it either, but I just didn't have enough for him, enough tire, enough skill. So it is what it is. But again, the setup provided by Dan Ench was spot on. I know a couple guys got in trouble using too much weight jacker. I saw them get loose. I actually got really loose off of turn 3 one time, and kind of told myself to back it down a couple notches. But overall, it was a fun race. A couple guys had both accidents and connection issues, unfortunately, but we do have a drop week, and that's what it's for. So everyone can come back next week and try again. It was also nice to see some faces we haven't seen in the league. We've seen them before, but they hadn't been with us for a while, and they came back today, so we had a nice full field. That was great.
Absolutely, great. It was a great clean race. Once again, this league getting very much known for its clean racing. But of course, we have to talk about the bigger news of the week, that you welcomed a new member to your family. If you'd like to tell us about that.
I'm a shop foreman at an automotive repair facility, and we heard noise under some customer's car, and it turned out it was about a 5 or 6 week old kitten had gotten up in the rear suspension. It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. The owner said they didn't have cats and they didn't know how the cat got there. So a little bit of guessing the mother may have stashed it there. But anyway, I brought the kitten home. His name is Jeep, and he's currently living in my bathroom closet until he can get old enough to be tested to make sure he's not carrying anything that would harm my other cat. So he's got about 3 weeks isolation there, but we're keeping him happy with lots of toys. And I'm a big animal lover. I'm sponsoring a race later in the year that will be for Rescue Ranch, which is a animal benefit place started by Chrissy Newman. And so yeah, in addition to my 3 dogs and 1 cat, we now have 2 cats. So it's been fun. He's a real character.
Well, absolutely. That is, he's adorable. For those of you that are friends with Jason or over there on Facebook, but just adorable and so great of you to take a kitty in. And so now, like I was saying before, you got to be careful there in the sim rig room, because pretty soon you'll have a ride along mechanic.
Yeah, my other cat, I call him my gaming buddy, because whether I'm racing or playing the PlayStation, he likes to sit and hang out. So maybe I'll have 2 gaming buddies.
Well, there you go. The ever growing, expanding Jason Lowe, you got second place today. Looks like you're back on form. Had a little bit of a struggle in your first couple of races of this season, but championship defender, 3-peat champion Jason, it's always a pleasure to talk to you here on VirtualRacing.Network, and congratulations on your second place and your hopefully return back up to championship contention.
Well, thank you, Trevor. Thank you for a great broadcast. And thanks to our league sponsor, StickQuik. Really appreciate them, and appreciate all the people who come and watch us. Give us a like, buddy. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much, Jason. And of course, if you want to get involved with the US IndyCar League, runs, as you know, on Sunday morning. It's weekly, and there's 4 different seasons happening per year. So get in touch with Jason Lowe. He'll set you up either this season or get you started next season, whatever works for you. So anyway, he did awesome getting a second place, and that was really cool to see Jason back up there onto the podium. But it was, of course, Graham Bunyan, who looked like he was hanging back a little bit, doing some fuel saving just like anyone else. We had no idea whether he really had the speed, but Graham, if you're in the broadcast booth, can you hear me?
I certainly can. And hanging back, well, I think I was driving Speedway there at one stage, man. Yeah. Congrats to Jason and Howard. Awesome race. Always great to race those guys. It's always close racing with Jason, always.
Absolutely. It was a great race. We saw many battles throughout the race. You had a couple of great battles going on there for a little bit of time, but it looked more like you just kind of waited for your opportunities to march forward. How did this one unfold for you? Last week we talked to you after winning, and it looked like it was a bit of a different race for you. This week, what was it like from lap 1, and how did you dictate your pace?
Well, my numbers guy wasn't here, so you can tell the difference when I have a numbers guy and just racing myself. And I got to rely on my teammate because I'm not around most of the time. He jumps on and does a lot of practicing before me, and I don't get a chance to practice too much. So, last week was great. Like I said, I had my number guy in my ear, and I was getting the numbers and getting everything. This time it was just like, wow, where do I go from here? My car was loose. It was tight. I couldn't get any speed out of turn 3. It was like, it took me 2 pit stops to get it right. And yeah, once I got it there, it was okay. But I was a bit bamboozled coming up to the second last caution, and the skyhook come and took Dave away. He just disappeared.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a little bit later that he had a connection issue that dropped him out of the race, so that was why we couldn't see it on track. We were just like, all of a sudden, David was gone. So, well, that's. I mean, you never want to gain a position or have your competition eliminated due to a technical glitch, but nevertheless, I mean, you still end up in first place either way. So, yeah, David dropping out, but like I said, you took advantage of multiple drivers seemingly struggling a little bit with their tires, the weight jacking, etc., getting a little aggressive, but nevertheless, getting up there coming up to the last coming up to the last caution, you getting up to the front, and you really didn't look back. I mean, you had Jason Lowe, who came from quite a ways back. He had gone back to about a second back, and then he made a challenge. So what was it like for you to see Jason Lowe coming up? Did you think he was going to send it? Did you think, what was your thought? Because at this point, it's anybody's game, right?
Definitely anybody's game, and I think respect between two drivers, and I don't think he would have sent it if it was too unsafe, and I think he did well. I think we gave each other respect. I just had to make my car wide and use up a lot of the track. Just not let him have that inside line. If I had to let him have that inside line coming out of 3 or out of 1, I would have definitely been coming in second, and he would have been talking to me second last.
Well, and that's how close it is. Again, we talk about it as though it's so easy and you're just sitting in a chair, just easily operating these vehicles, but you really are going virtually over 220 miles an hour, upwards of 230 miles an hour, and it's really inches apart. If you make the smallest of mistakes, or if Jason does clip you a little bit, like we had with the incidents last week with Will Stearns, it just takes a little bit to either cause a contact and cause you to drop out of the race or have to go get a repair done. Either way, it can ruin your race. Just the smallest of contacts with the wall or somebody else. So you really have to execute at a very high level. You've been doing that week in and week out, Graham, and now 2 wins in a row. I don't know if you can be stopped.
Oh no, I can definitely be stopped. There's no drama there. They can get me. They just got to work out what I'm doing up the front, and they'll definitely get me. But you talk about driving easy sometimes from your your living room or your game room or wherever you are in the world. I actually had a heart monitor on many moons ago, and I was doing a Indy race. I think it was the Indy 500, to be honest. And my heart rate was like 180. My blood pressure was through the roof. When I gave it to my cardiologist, he said, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "I'm sim racing." And he's like, "What is that?" And I told him what it was. And I said, "Mate, I tell you, as soon as I hit that accelerator, my heart is going the whole race." So yeah, my body does it pretty hard. I don't know about everybody else, but yeah, I take it pretty serious and I get right into it.
Oh, I hear you. No, your heart rate does get up there. I still get all the same butterflies I ever got, whether I was on a real track or whether I was sim racing. You still get all those butterflies before the race starts. The sweats start up. And then that doesn't even really talk about the temperature of the room that you're in, which, of course, the real life IndyCar drivers dealing with upwards of 140 degrees Fahrenheit in their cockpits, or possibly even hotter, depending on how hot it is that day. But 140 degrees in your sim room, it might get all the way up to, I mean, you're down there in Australia, it gets really hot.
it does, but I'm lucky I've got my air conditioner right beside me, so it stays around about a constant 18 degrees while I'm racing.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'd be melting out the floor pan if it was 140 in here.
Well, you're of course the Australian season just shifting now, and you heading into the opposite season that we're in. Here in my part of the United States, it's actually supposed to be 109 degrees here in the Seattle area today, 109 Fahrenheit, and tomorrow's supposed to be 111. So I won't be doing any sim racing today or tomorrow because I don't have the air conditioning. But of course, you would have that. I imagine the temps do get pretty brutal there in Brisbane. So yeah, Graham, heck of a job today. And I assume that Pocono is another one that you wanted to cross off your list. It's always a big race. It's a difficult one to predict whether you're going to have the pace to be up front or you're going to have to stay in the back. Because again, you can't necessarily make as many passes as you want given this aero push. But Graham, you're right up there. You're at the front. You're going to be leading the points. You were leading the points coming in. You're going to be leading the points, and you've just been doing excellently. You've been, putting together these awesome race strategies, whether the guy was in your ear or not. So congratulations to you on your victory here at Pocono. And we look forward to seeing you maintain that points lead, or perhaps somebody even being able to climb up that ladder and beat you, which would be very interesting for us on VirtualRacing.Network.
Oh, they'll definitely get there. They'll get there. It's been close before. They'll definitely get there. There's no drama about that. It's just about being consistent. It's about avoiding incidents and not getting hit or not being the hitter. It's just about avoidance. And I think I avoided a couple of wrecks there coming into turn two. I thought I was actually cleaned up there when two cars got together, but reaction time, get out of the way, and that's the only way you can survive these races.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Congratulations on your win, and congratulations on leading the points, making a statement here. Graham, always good to talk to you. And so that will actually finish up for us today here on VirtualRacing.Network. This was round 4 of the US IndyCar League. It was the StickQuik 190 from Pocono Raceway. 76 laps of awesome action, and Graham was your winner. Graham Bunyan was your winner. We had Jason Lowe in second, and we had Howard Livingston in third place. So we take a look here. Actually want to bring up, I think I did this last week too. Tried to exit a little too quickly. We want to take a look real quick just at the schedule here. Can get that up on the screen. We can see where we're going to next week. So we've got Auto Club Speedway next week on the 4th. That should be some fireworks, if you'll forgive the pun. Should be a lot of fun at Auto Club. Tight pack racing, but it gives lots of opportunity for drafting passes. Then of course it's to Monza, and then we have Gateway. We'll be going to Texas, then Phoenix, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Michigan, where the Road Open Series just was, and then Chicagoland Speedway will end the schedule for the US IndyCar League. So once again, my name, Trevor Greenfield, and you were watching round 4 of the season 11. It was the StickQuik 190 here at Pocono Raceway. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to VirtualRacing.Network on YouTube for more action from the US IndyCar League, as well as the IndyCar iRacing series that I also cover with VirtualRacing.Network on Fridays. And you can, of course, subscribe, get notified, all that jazz on YouTube. It's been a pleasure. My name's Trevor Greenfield, and I am signing off. See you again next week from Auto Club Speedway in California. Bye-bye, everyone.